Following on from my last video where I said I don't listen to religious people because they are biased and they do not want to hear about Atrahasis, which I've already mentioned in the previous video is Noah. And here obviously, well, all on the internet you'll find it's also shows Atrahasis is Noah, which this gentleman said it wasn't. But also here, this is the Epic of Gilgamesh, or one of the lines from it. Enlil's advice. Now this is thousands of years after that original tablet on the previous video I just played. Thousands of years after, so names change. Enlil's advice was given to Enki. Enki answered, and Enlil, in those days, in those distant days, see this is why I say it's thousands of years, in those nights of distance, I'll just be very quickly here, after the assembly had made the flood, in other words they all agreed to allow the tsunami, not flood, it should have been deluge, to sweep over and destroy it. I'm going to carry on the next video. Following on from my previous videos as to why religious people are biased, because they obviously don't want to know about Anunnaki, I've already now proved that Atrahasis is Noah, and I'm just now going to prove another name for Atrahasis. So here we have, as I was mentioning in the previous video, to do with Gilgamesh. So this was thousands of years after the original tablets, which talked about Atrahasis as Noah. So anyway, we're talking here about after the assembly had made the flood sweep over to destroy the... In other words, if you watch my Patreon videos, you'll see that there was a pin in the Antarctica, or pins, that the Enlil told his Anunnaki to go and remove to allow this ice shelf to slide off and cause a deluge, which is why a flood sweep. You don't have a sweep with a flood. Flood comes down, you don't sweep. But a tsunami, you do. I'm going to run out of time again. I'll finish this on the next video. From my previous video where I was explaining that this gentleman here who said Noah wasn't the three different names that other researchers have said, I'm just proving my point. So how many floods were there? There was only one, and here we are. So basically the assembly, this is from the Gilgamesh, which is thousands of years after the original tablets with a different name. But again, only one flood that happened. So here it says... the assembly made the sweep over to destroy the seed of mankind. Among us, I was the only one who was for life. That was Enki. So he was trying to save us. And so remained alive Zazudra. There it is, which is Noah. But of course, Zazudra is now called Zazudra thousands of years after Atrahasis. And then a few thousand years later, we get Noah. And then it says, although a human being, he remained alive. So this is actually it. This is the tablets that we all wanted to know. There's some people out there that say ancient texts such as Epic of Gilgamesh is no different from a comic book. However, things like this, which are translated into a book, many tablets. Now this is from Epic of Gilgamesh, but it's not actually in the Epic of Gilgamesh. This is a translation of a tablet they probably found after. And this is on the Oxford University website. I'll read it out to you. O Gilgamesh, Enlil, the great mountain, the father of the gods, interesting for a comic book, has made your kingship your destiny, but not eternal life. That's because his mother was Anunnaki, his father was human. Lord Gilgamesh, this is how to interpret something. The dream, the life should not make you feel sad, should not make you despair, should not make you feel depressed. You must have been told this is what the bane of being human. Human. So, do you really think, it goes on, but do you really think this is a comic book, or do you think Anunnaki aliens? The Anunnaki and the planet Nibiru, is there really a planet in our solar system? Well, this gentleman here, Dr. Michael Heiser, who has created a website actually called Sitchin is Wrong, who Zachariah Sitchin wrote the idea that there is a planet called Nibiru. Anyways, this particular person, Heiser, is trying to debunk him by saying that there is no connection between Nibiru and the Anunnaki, meaning Enlil and Enki. Now, when you look at Dr. Michael Heiser, you've got to wonder why he wants to debunk. Well, he's an author, Christian author, so obviously the last thing he wants to do is have Anunnaki being aliens. And he works from the University of Pennsylvania. When you look at who that's run by, the Rockefellers, then you know that he's up to no good and trying to debunk for a reason. But anyway, I did a video on my Patreon page looking not at Sitchin's work, but other resources to see whether or not Nibiru is real.